Hey everyone, welcome to our live stream. Today we're diving into a topic that's been dominating headlines, high-profile abuse cases. You've heard the names Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein, but there's so much more to these stories than what meets the eye. We're going to explore Chapter 4 of Sean Dupree's eye-opening book, Power, Pleasure, and Pain. This chapter is a game-changer, folks. It doesn't just look at these recent scandals. It traces the roots of power and abuse throughout history. Get ready to see how today's headlines are part of a much bigger, darker picture. Trust me, what you're about to learn will change how you view these cases forever. Welcome to Chapter 4 of Power, Pleasure, and Pain, where we'll be diving deep into the legal labyrinths that have shielded the powerful for centuries. This chapter is a real eye-opener, folks. Sean Dupree takes us on a journey through time, exposing the intricate web of legal loopholes that have allowed high-profile figures to escape justice. From the scandalous exploits of Marquis de Sade in the 18th century to the shocking cases we see in today's headlines, this chapter reveals a disturbing pattern. It's not just about individual cases, it's about a system that's been designed to protect those at the top. We'll explore how figures like Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, and even Prince Andrew have managed to exploit these legal frameworks. But here's the kicker. These recent scandals are just the tip of the iceberg. Dupree shows us how deep these roots go, connecting the dots between historical abuses of power and the headlines we're seeing today. As we delve into this chapter, you'll start to see how power and privilege have consistently acted as a shield for abusers throughout history. It's a sobering look at how little has changed and how much work we still have to do to create a truly just system. Let's talk about some recent bombshells in the world of high-profile legal cases. The Epstein saga continues to unfold even years after his death. Just this year, we saw another round of documents unsealed, and the names dropped are staggering. We're talking about figures like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and Prince Andrew. It's a who's who of power and influence. But here's the kicker. Epstein's network was massive. And as more details come to light, we're seeing just how deeply the legal system failed for years. These weren't isolated incidents. This was a systemic failure that allowed a predator to operate in plain sight for decades. And what about Harvey Weinstein? Just when we thought justice had been served, his 2020 conviction was overturned. Now we're looking at a new trial. It's a stark reminder that even when we think we've made progress, the system can still protect those in power. These cases aren't just headlines. They're symptoms of a much larger problem. The legal system has consistently allowed powerful men to escape true accountability. It's a pattern that repeats itself time and time again. What's particularly striking is how these recent developments mirror the historical patterns that Sean Dupree explores in Chapter 4 of Power, Pleasure, and Pain. We're not just seeing isolated incidents. We're witnessing the continuation of a legacy that stretches back centuries. These stories are still unfolding, and that's why Chapter 4 is so crucial. It unpacks why these men got away with their crimes for so long and what's still missing in our legal systems. It's not just about understanding the past, it's about recognizing the patterns that are still playing out right now, in real time, affecting real lives. One of the most eye-opening aspects of this chapter is how it exposes the flaws in our legal system. Laws that were originally designed to protect victims are often twisted and exploited by those with wealth and power. It's not just about having expensive lawyers, it's about using connections, influence, and sometimes even blackmail to manipulate the system. Take the Epstein case, for example. For years, he managed to evade serious consequences despite numerous allegations. Why? Because he had an intricate web of powerful friends and associates. He used his wealth to create a complex legal shield, making it incredibly difficult for victims to seek justice. But here's where it gets really interesting. Dupree doesn't just stop at modern cases. He traces this pattern back through history, showing us that this isn't a new phenomenon. It's a legacy of exploitation that's been refined over centuries. From the Marquis de Sade in 18th century France to the scandalous affairs of powerful politicians in the 20th century, we see the same tactics being used over and over again. The wealthy and influential have always found ways to bend the law to their will, often at the expense of the vulnerable. What's particularly striking is how these historical practices have evolved into the sophisticated legal maneuvering we see today. The core strategy remains the same. Use power and money to create a buffer between yourself and the consequences of your actions. This chapter really drives home the point that the recent high-profile cases we've seen in the news are not isolated incidents. They're part of a long-standing pattern of abuse of power that's deeply ingrained in our society and our legal systems. Understanding this historical context is crucial if we want to address these issues effectively. It's not enough to just be outraged by the headlines. We need to recognize the systemic nature of the problem and work towards comprehensive reforms that address these deeply rooted issues. If you want to truly understand the bigger picture behind these high-profile abuse cases, you need to read Power, Pleasure, and Pain. This book isn't just about the headlines you've seen. It's about the deep-rooted systems that have allowed powerful men to exploit others for centuries. Chapter 4 is particularly eye-opening. It breaks down everything you need to know about the legal battles we're seeing today, but it doesn't stop there. It connects these modern cases to historical patterns of abuse and power. You'll see how the Epstein case, Weinstein's legal troubles, and even the scandals surrounding figures like Prince Andrew are part of a much larger, much older system. This isn't just about understanding the past, it's about recognizing the patterns that continue today. When you read Power, Pleasure, and Pain, you're arming yourself with knowledge. You'll understand why these men keep getting away with their crimes, how the legal system has been shaped to protect them, and what needs to change. Don't just skim the surface of these issues. Dive deep. Get the full story. Power, Pleasure, and Pain gives you the context you need to make sense of the headlines and understand what's really at stake. Go to our website right now and get your copy. Start reading today and join the conversation about how we can begin to dismantle these systems of power and abuse. The truth is waiting for you in these pages. Don't miss out on this crucial insight into one of the most pressing issues of our time. All right, that's all the time we have for today's live stream. I hope you found our discussion on Chapter 4 of Power, Pleasure, and Pain eye-opening. Remember, we've only scratched the surface of what Sean Dupree uncovers in this book. Next time, we'll be diving into Chapter 5, which promises to be just as riveting. Don't let yourself be fooled by sensational headlines. To truly understand the intricate web of power, exploitation, and legal maneuvering that's been going on for centuries, you need to read Power, Pleasure, and Pain. It's available now at all major bookstores and online retailers. By educating ourselves, we can start to make real change. So grab your copy, join the conversation, and let's work together to expose the truth behind these high-profile cases. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you soon for our next chapter discussion. Power, Pleasure, and Pain. A study of abuse through time. This book provides a detailed examination of how sexual violence and power dynamics have manifested across different historical periods, from ancient civilizations to the modern era. It explores how figures in positions of power used their influence to manipulate and exploit others, showing that the patterns of abuse we see today have deep historical roots. Many people struggle to grasp why abuse of power, particularly sexual violence, persists in modern society. By connecting historical events with contemporary cases, the book offers crucial insights into why such behaviors remain prevalent. The book analyzes infamous cases such as those of Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and Dominique Pellicotte, drawing parallels between them and historical figures. This section highlights how the systemic abuse seen in recent times is not a new phenomenon, but part of an ongoing cultural issue. Through the lens of these modern examples, readers will gain a better understanding of how institutions, wealth, and power have historically shielded perpetrators from justice, contributing to their ability to continue harming others. The book explores the philosophy of libertarianism, particularly through the works of Marquis de Sade, to explain the disturbing ways in which pleasure, power, and cruelty have been intertwined. This provides readers with a deeper philosophical context to interpret modern-day scandals. Unlike other studies that focus solely on historical or contemporary cases, this book uniquely blends both, offering a full spectrum of how abuse is tied to power dynamics. It stands out by making philosophical connections that help readers understand the deeper societal issues at play.